Hello everyone. Today, this video is going to show 9.7's post test, which is all about surface area. This is the first post test for fourth marking period, so hopefully we will get a good jump start on the last marking period. Um, this post test is slightly more difficult as well. I went through it a few times to make sure I got all the different questions that might be asked. Luckily, with this one, all the questions are very similar, just the numbers are going to change, so that should be helpful for everyone. This first question is actually one of the more tougher ones. It's asking for the surface area of the solid, and as you notice, the solid is kind of a combination of a bunch of different shapes. So we're going to break it down into three shapes that we can find the surface area for. I'm going to try to show these three shapes separately, so excuse my artwork. It's going to be a little bit difficult to do, but I will do my best. The first shape I'm going to pull out of this is going to be half a cylinder. Okay, and it's kind of this half cylinder that's kind of resting on top. So if I were to just kind of draw it, it would look something like this. Okay, it's just that kind of half cylinder that's resting on top. Okay, where I know that from here to here is that 8 centimeters, and I know that this distance here, okay, is the same as this distance here, is this 9 centimeters. Okay, so that's what I'm kind of given on this shape. And again, it's half a cylinder. Okay, again, it's this half a cylinder. So the surface area of a cylinder, okay, again, it's just the formula. So it's 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. But this is the surface area of a full cylinder. So because I'm dealing with half a cylinder, now I'm going to have to take this whole thing and take half of it. Okay. So in this cylinder, in what I'm given, I know that my radius, which is from here to here, and again, I'm going to the original image, it's this to this is my radius. So in this case, my radius is this 8 centimeters. Okay, so I'm going to substitute everything in, and I know that my radius here is 8. And then my height is the height of my cylinder, which is this distance, in this case for me, is 9. Okay, and then substituting into this part, 2 pi, my radius again is 8. So it'll be 8 squared. Okay, so now I'm just going to simplify. And this is a double parenthesis here. So I have 8 times 9 times this 2. Okay, so 8 times 9 here is 72 times 2. Okay, I'll just put that here. Let me just do all of it. I have 2 times 8 times 9. 2 times 8 times 9 is 144. So here this is 144 pi. Okay, if I look at how it wants the answer, it says do not round until the final answer and then round to the nearest whole number. So I'm going to leave everything in terms of pi until the end. And then here I have 2 times 8 squared. Okay, well 8 squared is just 8 times 8 times 2 is 128. So plus 128 pi. Okay, and then I still have to take half of that for half the cylinder. So I have 144 plus 128, and again that's all pi. So I have 272 pi, but now I have to take half of that. So I'm just going to divide that by 2, and I get 136 pi. That is just the surface area of this half cylinder. Okay, so that's just one piece of the total figure. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of take that number and put it off to the side, 136 pi. Now, I need to find my surface area of another half cylinder, and it's this cylinder here, kind of on this right side here on the bottom. It's this now half cylinder. Okay, so again, I'm going to try to draw it. It's going to be here, this, and then I'm kind of dividing it out. It's kind of this cylinder now. Okay, it's this cylinder here, where the radius is still the 8, but now the height, which is this distance, is now this 7. Okay, the 7 coming from here. Okay, so it's the same formula as that we just used up here. Okay, the surface area of a cylinder is 2 pi RH plus 2 pi r squared, but because we're dealing with half a cylinder, I have to divide that all by a half at the end. So this time, I have my 2 pi. My radius is still the same 8, but now my height is the 7 instead of the 9. Okay, my height is now the 7. Plus 2 pi, and again, my radius is still that 8 squared. Okay, and again, I'm going to have to take half of it. Okay, so here I have 2 times 8 times 7. This is 112 pi plus I have 2 times 8 squared. Okay, 8 times 8 is 64, which is 8 squared, times 2 is that 128 pi. So I have to add them up and then take half of it. So I have 112 plus 128 is 240 pi. But I have to take half of it, so I'm going to divide that by 2, and I get 120 pi. That is the surface area of this cylinder, so 120 pi. So far, I have this cylinder, which is 136 pi, and that would be centimeters squared. I have this half cylinder, which is 120 pi centimeters squared. And now the third figure, okay, I have this top half cylinder, I had this half cylinder. What's left is kind of a rectangular prism. Okay, what's left is a rectangular prism. Okay, something like that. Okay, something like that. Where I know that this distance is 9 from this. I know that this distance is 7, so my length is 9, my height is 7, and my width is actually going to be my radius. So my radius here, my width, is going to be that 8. Okay, it's going to be that 8. So, to find the surface area of this rectangular prism, again, it's another formula. Okay, the formula is 2 length times width plus 2 length times height plus 2 width times height. Okay, so substituting everything in, I know my length is 9. I know my height is 7, and my width is 8. So I'm just going to substitute in. So here I have 2 times my length, which is 9, times my width, which is 8, plus want to see it. Let me just clear that up. Plus, and I'll put it down here, 2 times my length, which is 9, times my height, which is 7, plus 2 times my width, which is 8, times my height, which is 7. This is all plus. Okay, so I have 2 times 9 times 8 plus 2 times 9 times 7 plus 2 times 8 times 7. And I get 382. So that is the surface area of my rectangle. So now I have the surface area of the first half cylinder, the surface area of the second half cylinder, and the surface area of the rectangular prism. Now I'm going to add them all up. So I have 136 pi, which is the surface area of this half cylinder, plus the half cylinder here, which is 120 pi, plus my surface area of my rectangular prism, which is 382. And now I'm going to add them all up. And again, I'm not rounding until the end. So these first two terms both have pi. So I'm going to just combine them. I have 136 pi plus 120 pi is 256 pi plus this 382. Okay, so now I'm going to round. So I have 256 pi. So I'm going to do 256 times pi. Okay, and I believe my calculator was weird. I'm going to do pi first. Pi times 256. So that's 256 pi. Then taking that number and adding my surface area of my rectangular prism, which is 382. And I get this number. And again, now I'm rounding to the nearest whole number. So I get 1,186.2, but rounded to the nearest whole number would just be 1,186. Okay, so that's what I'm typing in here. 1,186. Rounded to the nearest whole number. Okay, so that is the answer to that. Again, a tough question, lots of parts. Okay, the next question is asking to find the surface area of the ball shown to the right. Okay, it looks like a volleyball. Okay, and it's giving us the diameter of this volleyball. Well, this shape is a sphere. Okay, volleyball here, this ball is a sphere. The surface area of a sphere, is 4 pi r squared. Okay, again, it's just the formula. So what I have to find now, if my diameter is 8 centimeters, my radius, the relationship between diameter and the radius is half the diameter. So if my diameter is 8, my radius is going to be 4, half of that. So now I'm just substituting in here. I have 4 pi. My radius is 4, so 4 squared. And this one, it says type an exact answer in terms of pi. So I'm going to leave pi in my answer. So I'm just going to simplify my non-pi's here. So I have 4 squared, which is 16. So I have 4 pi times 16. And then I can multiply 4 times 16. Okay, 4 times 16 is 64. So this is 64 pi. Okay, and that is the exact answer, centimeters squared, of this surface area. So I'm actually typing in 64 and then pi. And again, pi is a symbol down here, and this is the exact answer. Okay, this next one is asking to find the lateral area of a cylinder. Okay, and it's giving us the diameter of this cylinder and the height of the cylinder. Okay, lateral area of a cylinder, again, is just the formula. Okay, the formula is 2 pi RH. Okay, 2 pi times the radius times the height. So we just need to identify what we're given. I know that my diameter here is 4. Okay, that's what's given. My diameter is 4 meters, which means my radius is half that, so my radius is going to be 2 meters. So I'm going to substitute that into this formula. So I have 2 pi times my radius, which is now 2, times my height of the cylinder, which is given to me as 15 meters. Okay, and this one we want to round to the nearest whole number. So I'm going to leave it in terms of pi for right now. I'm going to multiply just my coefficients. I have 2 times 2 times 15. 2 times 2 times 15 is 60. So this is 60 pi. So to use my calculator to find a rounded number to the nearest whole number, I'm going to type pi first and multiply that by 60. Okay, I get 188.49, but because it's a 0.4, rounded to the nearest whole number would just be 188. Okay, if it was 188.5, this would round up to 189, but because it's 0.4, it's going to stay at 188. Again, that's a rounded number. Okay, next one. We have a plane region is revolved completely about the given line to sweep out a solid revolution. Describe the solid and find its surface area. Okay, this is one where I believe everyone says the y-axis. Okay, again, it's revolving around the y-axis here. So it's taking this rectangle and revolving it around the y-axis. Okay, revolving it, revolving it, revolving it. Okay, if you do that, it's going to make a cylinder. Where here is that rectangle that we started with, but because I'm revolving it, it's going to make the circle as the base. Okay, therefore making a cylinder. Okay, but if you take what's given to us, okay, if I'm revolving it around the y-axis, okay, this here will become my radius. So this distance becomes my radius. And if I look at what's given to me, my radius here is going to be 6. From 0 to 6. That is my radius. Okay, because here's the y-axis. Right here. Okay, that's the y-axis. That's what we were revolving around. So that's why my radius is still 6. The height of my cylinder here is going to be this distance, which is from 0 to 4. So my height is going to be 4. Why do I need to know that? Well, now it's asking for the surface area. Okay, and the surface area of a cylinder, okay, we kind of talked about it in that first question, but we don't have to divide it by 2 now because it's a full cylinder. It's 2 pi RH plus 2 pi R squared. Okay, so I know what my radius is. My radius is 6. I know that my height is 4, so now I'm just substituting in. So I have 2 pi times my radius, which is 6, times my height, which is 4, plus 2 pi, again, my radius is 6. Okay, this one again wants an exact answer in terms of pi, so I'm going to leave pi as pi. So, to calculate this, I'm just going to multiply my coefficients. I have 2 times 6 times 4. 2 times 6 times 4 is 48. So this is 48 pi plus, then I have 2 times 6 squared. Okay, so 6 squared is 36. 6 times 6 times the 2 is 72. So this will be 72 pi. So I have 48 pi plus 72 pi. They are both pi, so I can combine them. They are like terms. 48 plus 72 is 120. So this is 120 pi units squared as the surface area. So 120, and then the symbol of pi. Okay, this next question is asking about a box, and we have the dimensions of the box, and find the amount of cardboard needed to make the box. In other words, what is the surface area of this box? So in this case, we have a rectangular prism. Again, the surface area is just a formula. Okay, in this case, okay, we already talked about it with one of those problems where we doubled the rectangle, but it's 2 length times height plus 2 length times width plus 2 width times height. Okay, and because we're given the 3 dimensions, I know what my length, my width, and my height is. Okay, my length in this case is 6.5. My width is this 3.4, and my height is the 9. Okay, so it's giving me the 3 dimensions, and now I'm just going to substitute in. So I have 2 times my length, 6.5, times my height, which is 9, plus 2 times my length, which is 6.5, times my width, which is 3.4, plus 2 times my width, 3.4, times my height of 9. Okay, so just substituting my dimensions into this formula, and now we can just put it all in the calculator. So 2 times 6.5 times 9 plus 2 times 6.5 times 3.4 plus 2 times 3.4 times 9. Again, I'm putting it all in at once. You can do it one step at a time if you're not comfortable with that. The calculator can handle doing it all at once. I just did it all at once. Okay, don't round this. Leave it as a decimal if you get a decimal. I got 222.4 inches squared. Okay, next we have a surface area of a pyramid. Okay, this one is one of the tougher ones as well. Okay, reason being is the base of the pyramid here is a hexagon. Okay, there are 6 sides here, which makes it a little bit tougher to do, but not impossible. Okay, so the surface area of a pyramid is as follows. It is 1/2 PL, and I'll explain what that is in a second, plus B. Okay, the P here, this P, is the perimeter of the base. So this is perimeter of the base. This L is the slant height. And this B is the area of the base. Okay, so the reason why this problem is a little bit tougher is because we have to deal with the base a lot, and the base here is a hexagon. Okay, so it makes it a little bit tougher. So let's start with this first part, this 1/2 times the perimeter of the base times the slant height. Okay, so perimeter, so first of all, we have this 1/2. Then we need the perimeter of the base. Well, the base, I already said, is a hexagon, and it's a regular hexagon. I'm given that this distance here is 10, which means this distance is also 10, that distance is 10, 10, 10, 10. Okay, so to find the perimeter, there are 6 sides of this hexagon. Each side is 10, so it'll be 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10, or 10 times 6 sides, okay, of the hexagon. So that is the perimeter of my hexagon. Again, this distance is 10, so 10's all around 6 times. That would be my perimeter times the slant height. So the slant height of this pyramid is this distance here, and it's given to me, it's also 10. Okay, but it's this number 10, the slant height. Okay, so that takes care of the first part of this 1/2 PL. Okay, that's what this is. Okay, plus the area of the base. Well, my area, or my base here, is a hexagon. So we need to find the area of the hexagon. And the area of the hexagon is 1/2 the perimeter of the base, which we already found is this 10 times 6, times A, which is the apothem. And the apothem is the distance from the midpoint of one of the sides to the center of the base. Okay, in other words, it's this distance that's given to us here. This is the apothem. Okay, it's this 5 square roots of 3. So I already have this. This part is going to be 1/2 times my perimeter, which I already found. It's the 10 times the 6 sides. So 10 times 6 times the apothem, which is 5 square roots of 3. Again, that distance. Okay, so now we got to simplify. So I'm going to first do this part. I have 10 times 6 times 10. Which is 600. But then I have to take half of it, so I'm going to divide it by 2. So this part is 300. Okay, now I'm going to do this part. I have 10 times 6. Okay, divided by 2 for the half is 30. So 10 times 6 divided by 2 is 30. And then I'm just going to multiply by the 5 and leave the square root of 3. So I'm going to take this and multiply by 5. So I have 150 square roots of 3. Again, I'm leaving that square root of 3. And I already found that this part was 300. Okay, so this is my answer. This is as simplified as I can get if I'm not rounding. But it wants us to round to the nearest whole number, which means I need to put this in the calculator. So I'm looking, I'm trying to see if I have a square root button. Let's see. Okay, it looks like, I have to hit second on my calculator. Okay, so your phone calculators definitely have a square root button if you turn it long ways. Okay, but I'm going to first put this into the calculator. Okay, I actually have to hit second. So I'm going to first put the square root of 3 in the calculator. So this is my square root button, and I'm finding the square root of 3. Okay, so the square root of 3 is this decimal, and I'm going to take that and multiply it by 150, because it's 150 times the square root of 3, is this long decimal, and then I'm going to add 300 to it. So I get this 559.8. Okay, and again, it says round to the nearest whole number. So because it's 0.8, this one's going to round up to 560. Again, let me know if you're having trouble with the calculator. Again, what I actually had to do was hit the square, I had to hit 3 first, and then the square root button to take the square root of 3. It didn't work the other way. If I hit the square root button and then 3, it didn't do anything. Okay, so I had to hit 3 and then the square root button to be able to do it. And your phone calculators might be the same. Okay, but this is the answer to this question. Okay, next question is finding the surface area of this prism. Again, it's a rectangular prism. Okay, we have 2 length width plus 2 length height plus 2 width times height. Okay, this is the formula. It's giving me my length, my width, and my height. My length here is 4, my width is 10, and my height is 8. So I'm just substituting in here. So I have 2 times 4 times 10 plus 2 times 4 times 8 plus 2 times 10 times 8. And again, I'm going to put this all in at once. 2 times 4 times 10 plus 2 times 4 times 8 plus 2 times 10 times 8. And I get 304. Okay, and that is my answer. Okay, so the rectangular prisms are pretty straightforward with the formula. Okay, and now this one. We have to find the surface area of the figure on the right. Okay, this is definitely the last harder one. Okay, we have almost what looks like a farmhouse. Okay, but the key here is that the base of this is a pentagon. Okay, it has a pentagonal base. Okay, the surface, to find the surface area here, it's going to be twice the base, so because there's 2 of the bases, one's here and one's on the other side, plus the lateral area, which is the area of all these kind of sides here. To find that, it's the perimeter of the base times the height. So again, this pH, this P is the perimeter of base, and the H is the height of the whole figure. Okay, so let's find this pH first. Okay, it's the perimeter of the base times the height of the figure. Okay, so to find the height of the figure here, think about putting this figure flat, as if this was on the floor and it was standing upright. Okay, the height then would be from base to base. So the height of this figure is actually this. Okay, for me it's this 36 yards. So that's what my height is. Okay, my height is that 36 yards. And the P again is the perimeter of the base, and I have to multiply it by that 36 to find this pH part of the formula. Okay, so the perimeter here is the perimeter of my base. And perimeter is just distance around. So I'm just going to be adding up all my sides of this pentagon. So I have this distance up top, which is the same as this distance here, that 5 yards. So I have 5 plus this distance here, which is this, 13, plus this distance here, which is also 13, plus this distance, which is 29, plus this distance here, which is the same as this distance here, which is also going to be 13, plus, so I have this, 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 one, two, three, four, five, six. I apologize, this is a hexagonal base, not a pentagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this is a hexagon. Okay, so I'm adding up 6 sides. So I have 5 plus 13 plus 13 plus 29 plus 13 plus another 13, adding up this 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, adding up 6 sides here. Okay, even though it's a hexagon, it's still this is going to be the same formula here. Okay, but this is my perimeter of that base. So I'm going to add these up. I have 5 plus 13 plus 13 plus 29 plus 13 plus 13. It's 86. So the perimeter of my base is 86 times my height, which was 36. I'm just going to find what that number is. So I have 86 times 36, and I have 3096. That is the pH part of this formula. Okay, the perimeter of the base times the height. Okay, but now I need to find twice the B. And the B here is the area of the base. Okay, the area of the base. But, so, we have to find the area of this base and double it. Well, to find the area of this base, okay, again, it's a hexagon, but it's not a regular hexagon. Okay, not all the sides are the same. So, I'm going to break this up into two separate shapes to find the area. I'm going to take a trapezoid and a rectangle. Okay, so I'm kind of making a line right here and dividing it into two shapes, a trapezoid and a rectangle. Okay, I'm going to draw it out. So I have this trapezoid where I know this is 5, I know that this is 13, I know that this distance is really this distance, which is 29, and this is also 13, and I also know the height. Oh, that was a terrible straight line. I also know the height is 5. Okay, it's given to me that in this picture. Okay, to find the area of a trapezoid, okay, again, it's just the formula. It is 1/2 times base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Okay, so base 1 is this base and base 2 is this base. So when we substitute in, it'll be 1/2. My base 1 is 5. My base 2 is 29. And my height is this distance, which is also the 5. Okay, this is the height of the trapezoid. Okay, so I have 5 plus 29. So this is 34 times 5 times 1/2. So 34 times 5 divided by 2 is 85. So the area of my trapezoid is really 85 yards squared, or square yards. Okay, but again, I need to find the total area of the base. I just found the area of the trapezoid part. Now I need to find the area of the rectangular part. So I have this rectangle where I know that this distance is 29, this length is 29, and this width distance is this number, it's 13. So area of a rectangle is just length times width. So this would be 29 times 13. This is 377. So that is the area of the rectangle. So now I need to find the area of the total base, which is going to be the area of the trapezoid plus the area of the rectangle. So I have 85 plus 377, which is 462. So that is the area of my base. So now I'm going to come back up here, and I already found my perimeter of my base times my height. It was this 3096. And now I just found the area of my base. It's this 462. But in this formula, I have to multiply it by 2. Okay, so I'm going to come back down, or come back up here. Twice the base, be twice my base, which I just found was 462, plus the pH, P times H, which I already found was this 3096. So I'm just going to multiply this 462 times 2, which is 924. 924 plus this 3096. 3096 is 4020. And that would be square yards. So that is my final answer. Again, I know that's a tougher one. There's a lot of parts. So again, you can pause this. You can go back. Okay. But all the work is here, all the steps to find the total surface area of that figure. Okay, next one is asking to find the surface area of a sphere, and it's giving me the radius. Okay, surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared, and it's giving me the r is 3. Okay, it's given to me, so I'm just going to substitute in. I have 4 pi times 3 squared, and it says type an exact answer in terms of pi. So we want to leave pi as pi. 3 squared here is 9, so I have 4 pi times 9. And I just have to multiply the 4 times the 9. 4 times 9 is 36. So this is 36 pi. Again, exact answer in terms of pi. I'm leaving the pi in the answer. And last question is to find the surface area of this figure. If we notice in this figure, all the length, the width, and the height are all the same. They're 4, which means that this is a cube. Okay, this is a cube. The surface area of a cube, again, is another formula. It's 6 times the side squared. Well, the side here is this 4 feet. So here will be 6 times 4 squared. Okay, 4 squared is 16, 4 times 4, so this is 6 times 16. And 6 times 16 is 96. So my surface area here will be 96, and this will be square unit. In this case it's feet, so it will be feet squared. Okay, and that should be the last question. Let's see. Okay, so that is that post test. Again, it's a little bit tougher. If you have questions, please email me or comment on Classroom. But that is it for 9.7. Again, it will be due on Friday.